a city that never truly recovered from war, the buildings still carried bullet holes, electricity failed for hours every day, and people survived more on memories than hope. That was where Ethan Morgan lived. A 24-year-old young man with no grand dream. All he wanted was for his parents to stop worrying. His father, Walter, was a former soldier. He spent most of his youth in the military, which is why he married late in life. By the time Ethan was born, Walter was already past 50. As the years passed, his parents grew old much faster than he grew up. Walter suffered from severe back pain after years of military service. His mother, Helen, could no longer stand long enough to cook or clean the house. Meanwhile, rent consumed whatever little money they had left. Ethan understood something very early. If he stayed in that city, the entire family would slowly collapse. So he sold his old car for $3,800, borrowed another $2,000 from a childhood friend, and left the country to work. During his first month abroad, he slept on a mattress on the floor inside a tiny apartment shared with 3 other immigrants. At night, he worked in a warehouse loading heavy boxes for $17 an hour. But every day after work, he went somewhere else. A small mechanic garage owned by an Italian immigrant named Mark Rossi. Mark had arrived 20 years earlier with nothing as well. At first, Ethan only cleaned the floors and returned tools to their places. But Mark noticed something different about him. He asked too many questions. How did you know the fuel pump was the problem? Why is that engine shaking? How can you tell the transmission is still good? 6 months later, Mark started teaching him for free. By the end of the first year, Ethan had saved $11,400, but he didn't keep it. More than $6,000 was sent back home to his parents, and the first thing he did with that money was hire a housekeeper to visit them every day. She cost $900 per month. To Ethan, that was more important than any investment or luxury. For the first time in years, his father no longer had to struggle just to eat warm food, and his mother finally got to rest. That same year, Ethan entered the world of car auctions. The first car he bought was a damaged 2013 Ford Fusion for $2,700. Everyone thought it was junk, but Ethan noticed something others missed. The engine was perfectly fine. It only needed a new radiator, $180, an air sensor, $60, a used front bumper, $250 labor free because he repaired it himself. Total cost $3,190. 2 weeks later, he sold the car for $5,800. Profit $2,610. But Mark took 30% because Ethan used his garage, lifts, and tools. Ethan kept $1,827. It was the first time in his life he held money like that in his hands. And from that moment, everything changed. Soon he was buying 2 cars every month, then 3, but he continued sending more than half of his profits back home. Ironically, that was what slowed his success for years. Sometimes he could have bought better cars or expanded faster. Instead, he sent the money to his family. He always said, "I can wait. My parents can't." By the second year, his net profit reached nearly $48,000, but $27,000 of it went directly to his parents. At the end of that year, Ethan made one of the biggest decisions of his life. He bought the house his parents had been renting for years. The price was $96,000. He paid $35,000 up front, the rest through monthly payments. During a phone call, he told his father, "You'll never pay rent again." For the first time in years, Walter cried. Meanwhile, Ethan woke up the next morning and returned to work like nothing had happened. By the third year, he started traveling between states to buy cars. Sometimes he drove 14 hours just to inspect a single vehicle. One day, he bought a 2017 Chevrolet Tahoe for $8,200. Why so cheap? The owner believed the engine was destroyed, but Ethan quickly realized the real problem was only a fuel pump worth $340. He repaired it, then sold the SUV 1 week later for $18,500. That was the moment his capital started growing rapidly. Soon, Ethan hired another worker named Leon. Leon's job was inspecting auction vehicles traveling to smaller towns, transporting cars back to the city. Ethan paid him $4,000 per month. Eventually, they owned a small used car lot, a transport truck, around 12 cars moving every month. By the 5th year, Ethan's yearly profits reached nearly $430,000. Yet he still drove an old pickup truck, and he still worked with his own hands inside the garage. Then came the moment his mother had dreamed about for years. Ethan bought them a new home near a quiet lake, a 2-story house, a large garden, and the beautiful kitchen his mother always wanted. The house cost $640,000. When Walter walked inside for the first time, he stayed silent for nearly a full minute. Then he quietly said, "The war took my youth, but it didn't take my son." That night, Ethan sat alone in the garage of the new house. He stared at his oil-covered hands and remembered the first broken car he bought for $2,700. And finally, he understood something. Money did not make him a man. Exile did.